Foundations in Math 2, solve multi-step linear inequalities, Unit 2. All right, so the biggest rule when you're solving inequalities is when you multiply or divide the entire equation by a negative, you have to flip the inequality. We'll talk about shading and all of that. So with the inequalities, you're going to have either an open or closed circle and shaded left or right. So you have greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and you're going to have it shaded, and you're going to have a circle, and that'll make sense in just a second, but here's the little chart to tell you what to do and when. If it's greater than, you shade to the right, and your circle is open. Greater than or equal to, shade to the right, and your circle is closed, filled in. 2 is less than, then you shade to the left, and your circle is open, and less than or equal to, shade to the left, and your circle is closed. Let's go next step here in just a second. So first, I'm going to combine my like terms. Just treat it just like a regular equation until the very end. Then I want to get n by itself, so I'm dividing both sides by -3. Because I divided by that negative, I have to flip my inequality. So I have -1 is not less than, but is greater than n. Now this shading only works when your variable is on the left-hand side, okay? So variable on the left. So to put my variable on the left-hand side, I have to switch it. If it's pointing it in here, it needs to be pointing it in here. So I have n is less than -1. Now, what that means is that n can be any number less than -1. Because it doesn't have the or equal to, that means it cannot include -1. That's where the circle comes in. The circle, if it is filled in, means that it includes that number. If it's open, that means it's every number up to that number, but not including that number. So it's less than, so we have an open circle, and we're shading to the left. And the only thing I ask you to do here is just put whatever your answer is in the middle. The next one, combine my like terms. So I have -5p is greater than -10. Divide both sides by -5. I've divided by a negative, so I have to flip my inequality from greater than to less than 2. This is less than again, so it is an open circle and shade to the left because my variable is already on the left-hand side. The next one, combine my like terms. I have 9 is greater than or equal to -2n minus 1. Add my 1 to both sides. 10 is greater than or equal to -2n. Divide both sides by -2. And you get -5 is greater than or is less than or equal to, because I divided by a negative, m. So now to flip that so that my variable is on the left, it's pointing at -5 here, so it needs to be pointing at -5 here. So I have m is greater than or equal to -5. So I have -5. Because of the or equal to, that is a filled in circle. That means it includes -5. -5 makes this equation true, and everything greater than that. The next one, I'm going to start by distributing. So I have 6 minus 24n minus 28 is greater than or equal to 122. Combine my like terms. 6 minus 28. I have -24n minus 22 is greater than or equal to 122. 122, now this time I need to add my 22. So 122 plus 22 on both sides. -24n is greater than or equal to 144. Divide both sides by -24. And you get n is less than or equal to, I switched because I divided by a negative, 6. So I have my open circle that becomes closed because it has the or equal to, less than, so I shade to the left. The next one, 167 is less than 6, plus 7 times 2 minus 7r. So I'm distributing my 7. 167 is less than 6, plus 14 minus 49r. Combine my like terms, 167 is less than 20 minus 49r. Subtract 20 from both sides. 147 is less than negative 49r. 147 divided by negative 49, I'm dividing by a negative again. So I'm flipping my inequality. You get negative 3 is greater than r. It's pointing at r. So when I rewrite it with my variable on the left, it needs to point at r again. So I get r is less than negative 3. So it is an open circle. Shade to the left. The next one, negative 8x plus 2x minus 16 is less than negative x plus, or negative 5x plus 7x. Combine all like terms. Negative 6x minus 16 is less than, combine those like terms, 2x. Get my variables together, plus 6x on both sides. Negative 16 is less than 8x. Divide both sides by 8. I'm dividing by a positive this time, so I have negative 2. I leave my inequality. When I go to rewrite it, it's pointing at negative 2, so it needs to point at negative 2 over here. So I have x is greater than negative 2. So that's an open circle and shade to the right. The back. A minus 6 is less than or equal to 15 plus 8a. So I'm going to get my a's together. Because I want my variable on the left-hand side, I'm just going to go ahead and move that 8a to the left. I have negative 7a minus 6 is less than or equal to 15. Add 6 to both sides. Negative 7a is less than or equal to 21. Divide both sides by negative 7. I divided by a negative, so I'm flipping my inequality. So I have a is greater than or equal to negative 3. Greater than or equal to is a filled-in circle and shade to the right. The next one, combine my like terms. Negative 5n minus 6n is negative 11n, less than or equal to 8. Negative 8 minus n is negative 9n. Get my variables together. I'm going to add 9n to both sides. Negative 2n is less than or equal to 8. Divide both sides by a negative 2. I divided by a negative. So I'm flipping my inequality to be greater than. N is greater than or equal to negative 4. Greater than or equal to is a closed circle because of the or equal to, and shade to the right because of the greater than. Just a few more. Negative 5n plus 6 is greater than or equal to negative 7 times 5n minus 6n. I'm going to distribute. So I have negative 5n plus 6 is greater than or equal to negative 35n plus 42 minus 6n. Combine my like terms. Negative 5n plus 6 is greater than or equal to negative 41n plus 42. I want my variables together, and I like my variables on the left with inequality, so I'm going to add my 41n to both sides. And I have 36n plus 6 is greater than or equal to 42. Subtract 6 from both sides. 36n is greater than or equal to 36. Divide both sides by 36, and you get n is greater than or equal to 1. Greater than or equal to is a closed circle and shade to the right. The next one, distribute my 7. 28 minus k is greater than or equal to 7k minus 28. Get my k's together. I'm going to subtract 7k from both sides because I like my variables on the left with inequalities. So I have 28 minus 8k is greater than or equal to negative 28. Minus 28 on both sides. I get negative 8k is greater than or equal to negative 56. Divide both sides by negative 8. I have divided by a negative, so I flip my inequality, and I get 7. So k is less than or equal to, which is a closed circle shaded to the left, of 7. Two more. Negative 6 times 1 plus 7k plus 7 times 1 plus 6k is less than or equal to negative 2. I'm distributing. Negative 6 minus 42k plus 7 plus 42k less than or equal to negative 2. My 42k's cancel. Negative 6 plus 7 is 1. 1 is less than or equal to negative 2. Is that true? It is not. 1 is not less than or equal to negative 2. So because that is not a true statement, when your variables cancel out, if it says something that is not true, your answer is no solution. And the last one. Distribute, so I have 3 minus 6x is greater than or equal to 3 minus 6x. Get my x's together, I'm going to add 6x to both sides. Those cancel on both sides. You get 3 is greater than or equal to 3. Because of the or equal to, this is a true statement. If it did not have the or equal to, this would be a no solution. But because this is true, that means I have infinitely many solutions. That means I could plug in any number I wanted for x, and I would get something that works, something that is true. If it asks you to graph that, you would just shade your entire number line.